Welcome to the With Clarity and Purpose podcast with your host, Yanet Borrego. Each week, I bring you an inspiring person or message to empower you to live life on your terms so you can be who you want to be, do what you are meant to do, and have the life you deserve to have. We will provide you with practical and cutting-edge approaches to continue getting clarity and direction on your path, mastering your mindset, and gaining confidence to tap into your inner wisdom so you can live on purpose. Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. I hope you're having an amazing week. And today I'm doing something I've never done. It's the first time for me. I'm actually doing an IG live and I'm recording a podcast episode at the same time. I had a session with my mindset and business coach this morning, and I was telling her, I have so many things going on. I need to do this IG live. I have my clients. I need to do my podcast. And she was like, why you don't do the IG live and the podcast at the same time? And I was just blown away by this idea because I would have never thought to do that. And I have to admit that I was a little bit freaked out by the idea. But I just wanted to try it out because I think we are here in this life to take risks, to experiment, and see how things align along the path. I am also here because I posted in my stories, in my Instagram stories, 3 different topics, and I asked you, hey, what topic would add the most value to you? Just to learn yourself, to be more powerful, to be more confident. And the 3 topics were, are you feeling misaligned? And how you can align if you're feeling that way. The second topic was knowing the root cause of the imposter syndrome. And the third topic was all about knowing the unconscious mind and why it is important in your day-to-day and why it is important to live an empowered life. The topic of all of those 3 that won, like almost unanimously, it was the one about the imposter syndrome. So today's live is all about discussing the root cause of the imposter syndrome. And to be honest with you, there are several root causes. I first want to start with the story of a time in my life where I felt the imposter syndrome the most. I felt deep within myself, completely misaligned, and I just felt that I didn't belong. I felt that I wasn't enough at the deepest level. And of all the years in my life, which are only 33, okay, I'm very young, but of all the years in my life, this has been the time where this imposter syndrome feeling was the worst. And that was when I finished studying chemical engineering. I had done for the last 5 years, my chemical engineering program was 5 years. I had done every single thing that everyone told me success was about. I had a high GPA, I had plenty of leadership opportunities, I have done 5 different internships in the oil and gas industry, and I had landed 2 full-time offers in Texas. And I was 23 years old when I started working full-time, and I had a 6 figures salary, which was my dream. My dream was always to support my family and to be able to give back. And I was at that moment, having achieved every single thing that I put my mind into. And few months after that moment, I felt the imposter syndrome hit at a very, very deep level. I felt that whatever I was doing, I wasn't fulfilled by, that whatever environment I was surrounded by, it wasn't aligned with me. And within myself, I just was trying to push and tolerate more and convince myself that this was it, that I had worked so many years in order to be where I was, and that because I did that, I needed to tolerate this misalignment. So mentally, I did know that it wasn't it. Emotionally, I knew that I wasn't meant to do this. Spiritually, the same. And when you don't hear at yourself mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, guess what? Your physical body will kick in. And because I was forcing myself so much to be someone that I was not, and that I was not interested in being either, I had an anxiety attack. Okay, my physical body said, okay, you are not listening, so let me send you another signal that you can listen louder. Because that's what happens with yourself. That's what happens with your inner wisdom. You have this inner voice that is talking to you at all times. And that inner voice was telling me, Yanet, this is not it. Yanet, this is not it. And I kept ignoring it. I kept pushing it down deep where I couldn't hear it anymore, until it had to become louder. And that louder voice, that louder inner voice for me was translated in my first ever panic attack. I ended up going to the emergency room because my left arm got numb, and I swear I was dying. And as in my mind, I was thinking, oh my God, I think I'm gonna die. I'm gonna have a heart attack or something. As I was looking back in my life, I realized that I wasn't living the life that I deserved to live, that I wasn't creating the reality that would make me excited, energized, and fulfilled to wake up every single day. And that was it for me. It also taught me that I didn't need to wait until crisis hit or until I hit rock bottom in order to make decisions that were aligned within myself. Because I wasn't trusting myself, because I didn't know myself at that moment, I ended up having that panic attack. And because I was tolerating so much mental and emotional pain. So to me, that was such a big moment in my life, because after that, I committed and I promised to myself that I was gonna put the maximum effort to get to know myself, to get to know who I was, to get to know the things and the values that I aligned with. And I remember the Monday after that, I went to my supervisor and I said, hey, this happened. I had a panic attack. It wasn't anything serious, but I am working on getting to know myself, and I am gonna find an organization within the company, because I want to stay in the company that I resonate the most with and that I'm feeling fulfilled by the work I do. And thankfully, this supervisor, he was supportive. He was supportive. So whatever happened, and I was able to transfer to a different organization. But before transferring to that organization, I did a lot of work on myself, because I didn't have a clarity of who I was. I never in my life until that time, until I was 23 years old, 24 years old, I never put in the work to get to know myself at a deeper level. I didn't know what I stood for. I mean, in my college year, I was given exactly the curriculum. I was given every class to take. I was given every requisite to meet. I never asked myself, Yanet, what do you stand for? Yanet, who do you want to be? And so many times we think that those questions are for children, right? When we ask children, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? But we often forget that we as an adult, we are growing up every single year. We have aspirations and visions to fulfill, but we don't know what those aspirations and visions are unless we define them. So that's why the root cause of the imposter syndrome is really a lack of clarity on who you are. It's a lack of clarity on what you stand for. Because whenever you have that clarity on your values, you have that clarity on who do you want to be spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. What are the things that you want to be doing that fulfill you? Whenever you have that lack of clarity, you start gaining more self-respect, more self-worth, more self-love towards yourself. And it doesn't matter what other people might say, you start showing up more confidently because you taste what alignment feels like. And when you taste what alignment feels like, you'll never go back to the same. If this podcast episode resonates with you, I want to invite you to join my free and live masterclass, Permission to be Powerful. Learn to lead with confidence and live with no regrets. This free class is happening on Wednesday, August 9th at 6 p.m. Central. You will learn the strategies and mindset shifts that have helped my coaching clients align to their authentic self and live a life of abundance and fulfillment. You will learn how to stop faking it until you make it so you can finally show up authentically. Overcoming comparison and jealousy, effectively communicating boundaries, and also speaking up with confidence. You can sign up using the link in the show notes. And at the end of the masterclass, I will also share how you can work with me if you're ready to embark in this self-discovery journey. Through my aligned coaching program, I've helped clients accomplish dreams that they never thought they were possible, like manifesting an executive leadership position and moving across the country to their dream state, attracting their ideal romantic partner, overcoming the imposter syndrome, creating side businesses, and so much more. Again, this free masterclass is happening on Wednesday, August 9th at 6 p.m. Central. If you can't make it live, no worries, sign up because I will be sharing the recording. I cannot wait to see you there. Now, let's go back to the show. I remember the organization that I chose to experiment with after engineering was supply chain, something that I knew I wanted to devote my life to was people, was the development of people. I wanted to be part of a services-oriented organization. So from engineering, I transitioned into supply chain in the same corporation that I was in. When I transitioned, I didn't know much of supply chain. I had never negotiated an agreement with a supplier. I didn't have the skills to be in supply chain, but I had the drive and I had the desire because supply chain at that moment was taking me closer to that long-term vision of myself, of wanting to support people, of wanting to work on the communications, influence, leadership skills. And because I really loved what I was doing and I aligned with my values, with who I was, with my deeper purpose, I was able to do way better in supply chain than back in engineering. And let me tell you, a lot of people were like, Yanet, you're going from engineering to supply chain. That is like a step down. You're not going to earn the same. You're going to, you're going to suffer in terms of the financial piece. And I said to myself, I truly believe that when you do something that you love, that you're aligned with, the abundance will follow because you love it so much that you do so much better than staying back. And a few years after, I was doing so much better in supply chain that the people who stayed back hating their engineering jobs had actually lower salaries than myself. That's why you gotta trust your gut and you gotta go with what feels right. It's gonna feel scary at first. It always does. Every time you're gonna do a transition, you're gonna do a change, you're gonna do a move, if it's to a different state, if it's a new relationship, whatever that is, fear is gonna be there. But the most important part is to learn to predict that fear will be there. Because that fear is just a sign that you're doing something new, that you're outside of your comfort zone. When I'm coaching my clients, I call this fear emotional soreness. You know, when you go to the gym and you're exercising that muscle, the day after, and right now I'm working with a physical trainer, shout out to George. So the day after, you feel sore in your physical body and you feel good because you were like, wow, I worked hard yesterday, so I feel sore. That happens also on the emotional body. When you're about to make a big decision, or you're making a change or a transition, you are gonna suffer emotional soreness, my friend. That emotional soreness, unfortunately, we just have assigned a negative meaning to it. But the next time you feel that fear, when you're gonna try something new, or when you're gonna align, just celebrate it, because that means that you're growing in the right direction. Pause due to poor connection, but now I'm back. Okay, cool. So lack of clarity. I'm going to discuss several root causes of the imposter syndrome, but lack of clarity is number one. Again, when you have the clarity of what you stand for, who do you want to be, and what are the things that you love about yourself, you start being more confident and powerful, and you start being more unapologetically you. So that's where we want to get. The second one is, we all have been programmed to fit in, okay? In the most ancient part of our brain, we have been programmed to fit in. And I'm gonna tell you why. Back in the ancient times, we used to live in tribes. Living in a tribe was safe. Fitting in was safe. But now we have evolved and we don't live in tribes anymore. I mean, community is super important. I'm not saying the opposite. But we don't live in tribes, and we don't depend on tribes to survive, right? So I think it's really important to understand that even though we have evolved in our society, the ancient part of the brain is still afraid to not fit in. But that's when awareness, that's when consciousness comes into place, because you know that is not true. Actually, it's safer in today's society to be yourself and to be authentic. I truly believe that we have so much stress and so much anxiety because we are not allowing ourselves to just be who we are, to just be authentic. We are afraid of what people might say. We are afraid of not fitting in, of judgment, of failure. The only thing you need to succeed, to be confident, to be powerful, is give yourself permission to be yourself. And that takes me to the third root cause. I know there are several root causes. Third root cause of the imposter syndrome: comparison. I actually have another podcast episode on comparison and jealousy, and that has been one of the podcast episodes that has been the most downloaded, because I think comparison is a real challenge that we all struggle with. And I always tell my coaching clients when I'm coaching them, we cannot compare the back end of our lives to the front end of people's lives. Now with technology, with social media, we are all putting the highlights of our lives. We are all successful and fulfilled in social media. And then when you look back, which is the back end of your life, you start focusing on the insecurities you have, on the fear you have. Let me tell you, I've coached every single level of leaders in corporate, of leaders who have their own businesses. It doesn't matter what the front end looks like. They all have insecurities. They all have fears. They all face imposter syndrome. But as I mentioned, the imposter syndrome, to me, should be called the self-discovery syndrome, because it's a more empowering term. At the end of the day, it's all about getting to know yourself and standing up in your light, because only when you align to your values and who you want to be is when you're going to be truly powerful. And the fourth root cause, yes, because there are four, the fourth root cause is one of my favorites. Have you heard of the phrase, fake it until you make it? when I was working in corporate, when I interned, and I definitely didn't fit in because I was the only one from Puerto Rico, I was the only one with an accent, I was advised a lot to fake it until I made it. So, and I'm not the only one, of course, we have heard this phrase everywhere. Fake it until you make it. The issue with this phrase is that the language is presupposing that you gotta be someone else in order to succeed. You gotta fake it, you gotta fit in somewhere else because clearly you are not a fit. So I think language is highly subconscious. We just say things without becoming aware, without being intentional, without being conscious. And language carries a lot of weight because the more you repeat things, the more of a belief you create in your mind that you are not enough. When you're telling someone or yourself all the time, fake it until you make it, fake it until you make it, what are you telling to yourself? I'm not enough. I gotta be someone else in order to succeed. So I was listening to this episode with Louis House and Jay Shetty, two of my favorite people, and they were talking about this concept, and Louis said a reframing that I really loved. He said, instead of faking until we make it, why we don't talk about face it until you embrace it. And I have low battery. Face it is your fears. Because I think one of the biggest fears we have is a fear that if we are ourselves authentically, we are not gonna be loved. We are not gonna be accepted. But how would we know if we have never tried it fully to be ourselves? Because we have been worrying about fitting into that box. We have been worrying and we have been focusing on faking it. And my friend, today, I want to give you permission to shop authentically with courage, because let's be honest, it requires you to be really courageous and brave to show up just as you are. To press that live button like I did today and do a podcast episode at the same time for the first time ever in hope that it would work. I hope this is recording. I'm joking. I checked and it is. Give yourself permission to be yourself. And with that, I want to invite you to my upcoming masterclass. It's free. It's gonna be live. We are gonna be interacting and we are gonna have so much fun. It's gonna be on August 9th at 6 p.m. It's all about this topic of giving yourself permission to be powerful, because it's called that way. Permission to be powerful, lead with confidence, and live with no regrets. When you look back, imagine that you're in your deathbed. When you look back at your life, you want to make sure that you have lived authentically, fulfilled, abundance, and with no regrets. I hope you really enjoyed this live. I feel my phone battery just went low. Like I got the notification several times, but somehow we made it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the masterclass and in the next live. I'm gonna put the link in the comments, but you can go to the link on my bio and sign up. It's gonna be powerful. Thank you so much and have an amazing rest of the evening. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening at With Clarity and Purpose. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Sharing is caring. Please share with your friends and family so we can continue building an empowered community together. I'll see you next week.